Hey guys, it has been a minute since I uploaded a video. I'm sorry about that. I think it's been about a month. I will talk about that a little bit later, but first I wanted to tell you that this is another review of Jelly Gouache by MIYA HIMI, who has so kindly sent me their 24 pack of Jelly Gouache to test out, and I made this fun illustration with it. I drew the sketch digitally on my iPad and then printed it out and put it on my light box to trace over onto watercolor paper. It's so nice to actually have a light box now instead of having to rely on the graphite method like I did in my last Jelly Gouache video. It's just a little bit easier to make adjustments as necessary while I'm drawing and be able to see what I'm doing. The paper I used for this piece is by an Australian company called Iraldo de Paulo, and I had my friend Chantel send it to me when she told me it was on sale, and I really like it. It's not very expensive and it performs really well. Once my sketch was traced, I taped it down with washi tape to add a nice clean border and also hope to reduce the amount of buckling that would happen once I added a bunch of water and paint to the paper. I wanted to start off the painting with a tinted underlayer so that the paper wasn't just white. So I grabbed some of my ultra cheap gouache to water down a lot and just use for the underlayer of the painting so I didn't have to waste my Himi gouache. But this 24 pack does come with a set of brushes, so I wanted to try those out for the whole painting if I could, just to see how they'd work as far as being versatile enough to use for the whole painting. So I used this big filbert shaped brush to paint the background. I started by spraying the entire paper down with water, hoping that the wet on wet technique would allow the paint to spread out more evenly on the paper. And then I just kind of went to town and tried to cover the whole thing as neatly as I could, and it didn't really matter too much because I knew I'd be covering over it anyway. I just wanted to kind of have this brown tone underneath to tie the whole piece together when it was done. And then I let it dry, and my helper helped me make sure it was dry before I went on to the next step. And then of course once it was dry, the next step was to get onto the actual painting. So that's what I'm doing here, is just picking out my first few colors. I really wanted to try and get her skin tone down before I did anything else because I kind of felt like that would be the most important and possibly difficult part. But I'm starting off with a method where you go from very, very thin paint up to thicker paint. So I was hoping that this would let me kind of feel out the colors as I went and just get more confident as I went on. It sort of worked. At least getting the color on there does help feel like I'm making progress. But sometimes I'd end up covering up a color that I liked better with a color that I didn't like as much, so there was a lot of back and forth as far as that went. However, it really helped to start off with this light layer and just see how the colors would come together and how everything would look as far as values and color composition once the painting was done. And it really allowed me to have a lot of versatility in changing things, since when you start with a light layer, the heavier layers on top don't reactivate the lower layers as much. So you can do a very light layer and not have to worry too much about that reactivating and showing through when you layer on top of it with thicker layers of paint. So while you watch past me dropping in that first initial layer, I thought I'd talk a little bit about what's been going on with me, and it isn't anything huge, mostly the same old same old. I did start my new job with Diamond Art Club and I am absolutely loving it. It's the best job I've ever had. And I'm really passionate about it, which makes it even better. I love diamond painting and I love pixel art, which is basically what I'm doing every day. And bonus, I get to choose my own schedule and work from home. It's really, I never imagined I would be able to find a job like this, and it just blows my mind that it happened, and I'm absolutely loving it. However, it is taking a lot of my time, mostly because I've had a bit more responsibility that I've stepped into. So I'm working a few more hours than I did at my previous job, and it leaves less time for video editing and artwork, but I'm honestly totally okay with it because that is my livelihood now, and I don't have to worry so much about, I guess, how often I'm putting videos up on YouTube and trying to build a livelihood there. I can kind of just relax more about it and do YouTube just for fun and not have to worry about building a following to market my artwork or anything like that. Not that I'm not going to keep posting videos, I will. I just don't know how often I'll post, just whenever I have time and have something interesting to show you guys. And hopefully that'll also make it more high quality videos that I'm bringing to you and more interesting videos for you to watch rather than trying to figure out something to do every week. I'll also keep posting vlogs because that's one of my favorite type of content to post. It will likely be less of a studio vlog type vlog because I don't really have a studio per se anymore. As far as trying to build an art business, that's no longer my focus for now. So it'll probably just be more personal family vlogs, stuff that I want to be able to look back on and remember. I really enjoy editing those types of videos, and some of you I know enjoy watching them, so I'll keep posting them. I also still plan to keep posting art content. Most things on my channel will remain the same. I just might not post as regularly, and I'm saying that kind of tongue-in-cheek because I never am able to keep a regular schedule with my uploads. On that note, I really do want to say thank you to everyone who sticks around even though I'm not the most reliable content creator out there. I've been doing YouTube for on and off about 13 years now, and that's just crazy to me, and it's something that I don't plan to stop doing anytime soon. And it's kind of changed with me along the way, so it sounds like it might go through another small change here as my situation changes, but I just want to let you all know how much I appreciate you sticking around if you enjoy my personality or my art or just my content in general. Thank you. I really appreciate you. Next, I started going in with a slightly more opaque layer of gouache just to try and cement down what colors I wanted for the skin. I always start with the thing that I'm most worried about because if I ruin that, then I mean pretty much the whole image is ruined. But luckily this gouache is very forgiving. I ended up going over this skin tone several times, especially in the face area. You'll see that later. And I kept being afraid every time I started a new layer that it was all just gonna get muddy and not allow me to put more paint on, but I never ran into that issue. So I was pretty impressed at both the gouache and this method of working from thin to thicker paint. They seem to both work really well for me. I also tried to stay with the bigger brushes as long as possible and not get too caught up with the details right away. I failed at this a little bit. As you can see, I had already kind of done some details in her face, but that was mostly for me just to kind of plan out how I wanted it to look. I knew I would be painting over it anyway in the thicker layers, so it was all just kind of a tester, I guess. Most aspiring artists know that there's this stage called the ugly stage in most artworks that you do, and this painting had a lot of ugly stages. This one is a pretty bad one. The color that I'm putting down on her face right now looks less than desirable. I ended up working with it a little bit off camera to try and get the colors right because I knew it was gonna take me a bit of trial and error, and it did. But eventually I got it to the point where it actually looked nice and smooth, and I really liked the color that was on there. I still felt like it needed a bit more lighting and shading, so that's what I'm trying to do here. But once again, I feel like I ruined what I liked about it, so this face isn't gonna stay either. I was getting pretty frustrated trying to get the face to look right, so I decided to let it simmer for a while and work on the background instead and fill a little bit more of that in. I've been really trying hard with my artwork lately to make sure that I ground my characters in some kind of an environment instead of just having like floating heads or partial torsos and things like that. Detailed backgrounds are pretty intimidating to me, but I also absolutely love how they look, and I'd really like to get past the point where they're intimidating so I can get into the point where they're fun. For me with artwork, once I practice something enough times, it stops being scary and starts being really fun. It happened that way with hands, it happened that way with hair, so I'm hoping backgrounds are another version of that where I can get to the point where they're one of my favorite things to work on.
I'm gonna let the sun shine in today. I'm trying to make this darkness go away. I'll paint with colors and I'll sing until my lungs give out. I'm gonna let the sun shine in today, and I will leave my windows open so that I can hear the sound of people talking and the wind blowing in the trees. Oh, I will open up my eyes so I can see the light. Try to spread my wings so I can fly. Oh, and the darkness starts to fade. Feels like things are gonna go my way. I'm gonna let the sun shine in the day. I'm gonna let the past be filled with smoke, and I will try to fix what has been broken. Take this weight off my shoulders, 'cause I know yesterday ain't coming back. I'm gonna let the past stay in the cold. I will listen to the ocean, let its unsaid words be spoken, and I'll let my mind be carried by the waves. Oh, I will open up my eyes so I can see the light. Try to spread my wings so I
go back to the skin, and I was really trying to deepen the shadows and warm up the skin tone, and I was still having a whole lot of trouble with it. It's definitely something that's going to take a lot of practice for me to get the hang of, as far as color mixing and knowing which colors to mix with which colors to get the best hue that I'm looking for. At this point, I was pretty sure her lips were what was causing me the most issue. Looking at the way I had painted them versus the way I had sketched them, I thought they were too big and I didn't like it. So I covered a lot of it up, but in the process of doing that, I really messed up the nose. So don't worry, this face doesn't stay either. So regarding this 24 pack of MIYA HIMI Jelly Gouache, it works great, just like the two 18 packs I reviewed previously. It does have a couple of colors that are unique to this set and aren't in the other two sets, but most of them are repeats. So I think if I was coming from a place where I didn't have any packs of Jelly Gouache yet, I would get the 24 pack and maybe not get either of the 18 packs because most of it will be repeat colors. I might even go for the 56 color set because I've heard with this gouache it's best if you don't mix too many colors together because they will start to get muddy. So the more colors you have, the better. And it's not super expensive gouache paint. It's probably not the cheapest, but it performs better than the actual cheapest. So I think it's really great for someone like me who's just starting to get into gouache painting. I don't feel like I could waste expensive gouache by practicing. So using up vast quantities of this cheaper gouache, but still a gouache that's going to allow me to work in lots of layers and it's still a quality gouache is really going to help me become more confident with the medium moving forward. So if that's about where you're at also in your artistic journey, then I would definitely recommend this paint. If you're interested in purchasing it, I will have a link below in the description to where you can find this exact set I'm using. It's not an affiliate link and I don't get any kind of compensation if you do use the link. It's just for your convenience. So you can see here I'm painting her face yet again, and this is the final face and how it ends up looking. I am still not happy with it, but I have to end this painting sometime. And you might be wondering about this snake and how unfinished the snake looks. I don't finish the snake at this point either. I am kind of waiting to decide how I want to color him. I'm not quite sure how I want him to look yet, so I'm just gonna go ahead and leave him like he is for now until I figure out how I want to finish him. So yes, this is an unfinished painting I'm showing you, and I had to force myself to do that. I don't know why it's so hard for me to make a video and show you an unfinished piece of art. I feel like it's kind of unsatisfying, but at the same time, I'm not gonna finish it right now. So I wanted to go ahead and put this video up for you guys so that I can get on to making other videos. I hope you enjoyed watching the process anyway, and let me know what you think down below of my techniques and if you spotted anything that I could have done better. Definitely need some more work in mixing the right colors that I'm looking for and figuring out how they're gonna look all together. And I know that will get better with time and experimentation and practice and all that stuff. So I'm content to just have less than perfect pieces until I get to the point where I'm more comfortable with the medium. And even though I don't 100% like how this turned out, I had a lot of fun making it and I like the concept of it, and I'm hoping maybe to go back in and finish it up a little bit better and maybe give one more try at that face if the paint will take it. But to be honest, it's not that horrible as is, so I guess we'll see what happens. And to end off, here's a little tape peeling goodness for you, and then I will show you the final piece, such as it is. And I would like to say thank you very much for coming to watch my video, and I will hopefully have another one up for you soon. Don't forget to check the link in the description if you're interested in purchasing this 24-pack of jelly gouache. And if you could hit that like button before you go, it would really help out my channel a lot. Thanks again for being here, guys, and until next time, bye everybody.